பண்ண முடியும். நானே காலேஜ்ல இருக்கேன். நாங்க 4 டிபார்ட்மெண்ட்ல இருக்கேன். சரி, ஓகே. 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 ஆமா மேம். ராணி மேம் நம்பர் இருக்கா? ராணி மேம். ஆ கௌஷி மேம், யூடியூப்ல மட்டும் ஆடியோ நல்லா கேக்குதான்னு மட்டும் பாத்து. ஆமா. சோர்ஸ் பக்கத்துலங்களா? சோர்ஸ் பக்கத்துல சீல்ஸ். ஆமாங்க மேம், ஆமாங்க மேம். ஆன்ல தாங்க மேம் இருக்கு. அதுவும் ஆன்ல தாங்க மேம் இருக்கு.
Mind that we, the speakers and learners of English, have due importance to this English as such. This is how those men, those learners, those Western speakers, they tend to speak in a way where they give more importance to the plosives, that is, the rotation of the tongue. And we, as such typical foreign learners of English, we have to attune ourselves to a specific standards. That's why it's been a national international importance. And also Western sciences and arts. When I say Western sciences, you take all subjects, right, from anthropology till zoology. We have all subjects under the English stream, though we have subjects in other related streams too. I mean, a library language for books, journals, articles, magazine, everywhere you could find the lot of number of sources. My argument will be a bit different when I come to speaking skills. We have humpty number of books in libraries, journals, emails, etc. So many things we have, but there is a crux among the speakers of English. Indian and Indian speakers. In spite of so many books, so many journals available, madam, I beg your pardon, you have to come down. When I say you can change it. Go to the previous slide, madam, please. No, not this one. First one. Satyamala, madam? No. Yeah, come down. Go to the front, madam. Go to the front. Yes, please. You can stop there. Okay. So when we say it's a literary development, library language, here I have one important aspect to stress when I come to the speaking skills. But my argument is, though we have an enormous number of books, journals available in our libraries, and though we have a humpty number of scopes, maybe mobile phones, emails, this and that, there's some kind of a hindrance in the minds of our lone learners. Why? The task is, in spite of having taken up a subject called English, right from LKG to post-graduation, we could find in our learners a kind of mild hegemony when it comes to effective speaking skills. We will discuss when we come to the topic better. So it has been a language of literary development. We could find our own Indian masters, Jawaharlal Nehru, Pandit, Dr. Mulkaj Anand, Dr. Radhakrishnan, many giants, they've excelled in the minds of people just because their language was in English. And having taken up a particular paper called English, they've excelled across the globe, where they hold the Indian tricolor flag high. Next slide, madam. Madam, next slide. Madam?
Sir?
Next slide, madam. Next slide.
Next slide. Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
It looks blank. Screen is blank, madam.
Yes, sir. The screen is blank, sir. We are checking. Yes, sir.
Yeah. Just listening, not reading, listening. Again, one more. Again, one more. The third side, madam.
Sir, sorry for this delay, sir. Actually, we are having a small issue here with the Wi-Fi. Just hold on for a minute or two. Sir. Kindly bear
Okay,
with us.
Okay.
Yeah, we are reconnecting again with our personal.
Okay, fine, please. Okay, ma'am. Let us come. Yeah. Good. Okay, friends.
Participants, kindly bear. We are facing few technical errors, and sir, please pardon us. Just few seconds. We'll rectify, sir.
Okay. Yeah, enough, madam. Fine. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Friends, kindly bear with us for this kind of a technical snag. Now let me focus on the first, the most as important aspect of what is termed as listening. And before coming to this screen, I have a feel. That is, most of us, we believe. In fact, we are ardent believers that we are all very good listeners to anything. In fact, hearing is different, listening is different. For example, you imagine yourself watching a particular movie or a serial program or anything on the television screen. Once after the activity is over, if we try to retain our memory and if we try to have a flashback of beginning from the first scene till the last, we would find ourselves absolutely in a difficult situation. Though we watch something in our own mother tongue, though we are aware of watching it with our own the dialogues and other factors, but still, certain things, a few things we may learn. That's here I identified certain components. So listening is not a singular activity. It's hearing. When I say here, it focuses on the sound aspects. And from hearing, it slowly gets traversed into listening. And here, when I say listen, it needs the focus of the mind. Only when the mind is able to focus, we could perceive what really goes on with these sound patterns. That's why when I say perceive, it's deciding whether the sounds are worth paying attention to. So when I say sound, it's the phonology, the articulation of how what really exists on between the listener and the speaker, the encoder and the decoder. So after the sound patterns, what happens, we tend to perceive of what really goes on both within the mind of the speaker as well as with the mind of the receiver, listener. After this follows, we have this attending process where the focusing called the concentration on the sounds which slowly gets traversed into words. From sounds into words, automatically we may tend to focus its meaning as such. Remember, when we are able to understand the meaning of each word spoken by the speaker, the listener could listen properly. My mother tongue is Tamil, and my job is English, to teach English. And if anyone could speak in any other language, maybe Hindi or Urdu or Marathi, where I do not know the language, automatically I'll be keeping quiet. So, it's not the source of language. It is not even the source of words, phonology, sounds, but as such, the kind of the impact which the words creates. And thereby, I've given the wordness attending, be able to concentrate on what really goes on. So the sound patterns, the word pattern, as well as next coming the sound of comprehension. Comprehend is to understand and identify the meaning. So the comprehending, once we are able to understand the meaning of these words, we just have a shift over, we change from understanding to assimilation. And that could take place only when the listener is determined to listen to the speaker. It all depends upon one's personal code of interest. Some kind of a motivation should be there to listen to the speaker, what he actually speaks. And if the listener's mind is not attuned properly, automatically this sense of comprehending could go waste. And finally, it's up to the remembering what we get, what the mind absorbs, it stores and it reflects. And this kind of reflection would be there, provided the listener is able to assort what are all the things he had listened properly in terms of assimilation, in terms of proximation, though at times we go for proximation of thoughts and feelings clumbled together. And thereby, we tend to remember what all things have happened earlier. That's why in many listening activities, we feel that we are all good listeners, but we may have certain lacunae. Next slide, madam. Madam, you can move to the next slide. Thank you. And you have these terms as listening barriers, meta training, thought speed, and so on. When I say listening barriers, it automatically talks about the kind of attitude that we extend towards the speaker. Unless the listener is prepared to listen, nobody can force him to listen. It is a destined fact. Even the producer of the great Oxford Dictionary, Dr. A.S. Hornby, he too acknowledged this kind of a rebuttal. Well, when the listener is, only when he's prepared to listen to what is spoken or what the speaker is speaking, nothing can disturb him. And at the same time, we have the sensitized mode of training components. And it's so different that in many places, our young learners are not trained to this kind of a practice where even the learners could be trained to listen to announcements, programs, speeches, orations, etc. And that signifies a lack of training in listening to what is spoken to. And thought speed greater than spoken speed. When I say thought, actually, when you speak, for example, in a minute, we speak around 90 to 120 words approximation in terms of approximation. But whereas when we listen to a particular speaker, maybe in a minute, our mind travels faster. Maybe 240 to 260 words, the mind can read fast. But how many words it can retain itself in memory, that depends upon the individual. Though every one of us is an intellectual. This we have to acknowledge. Please remember, every learner is an intellectual. Every teacher is an intellectual. And all intellectuals will have their own barriers when it comes to application of these 4 basic skills. Because it differs from person to person. A person in one particular school may do better, and a person in another school may do somewhat less, and depends upon the parental being. Especially how the particular the student, the girl or boy, is brought to these successive attempts. So, retaining and recalling. And how do we retain certain things? My dear friends, I have an example here. When someone praises you, so when someone applauds you, what happens? Instantly we become happy, and we express that happiness where the face becomes the index of the mind. But remember, when you are in there, when someone criticizes you, when someone admonishes you, most of us are not in a position to forget that. We don't forget and we don't forgive because of the kind of impact which the words spoken to us retain. They're able to retain that. That's why, in many cases, when we are disturbed by the comments of others, we are automatically, what happens, the mind is able to store. How the mind is able to store, it all depends upon the kind of impact that we have. So what kind of an impact does it create? It all depends upon in its mode of reflection and reverberation. As well as age and concentration span. As youngsters, small children, when they listen to something else, you could find young boys and girls, they're all very good imitators of people. Because of this. Because in a very young age, people could store more things, and that what attracts them, they could score more. As age catches on, and people like us, those who are 50 plus or 55 plus, it depends upon and what modality do we present ourselves in this kind of so-called the concentration span, and it differs from person to person. This concentration span differs, and it also depends upon the attitudinal differences. If at all we focus on that, what it actually teaches, what it actually means, the concentration could increase. In some cases, for example, when people watch the serials, television serials, some could focus attention, some may not focus attention. It all depends upon the attitudinal changes. So whatever is said, whatever is done, it all depends upon one's attitudinal tone, which makes a difference in concentration span. For example, I have my own friend, my close friend, and I shout at him, nonsense, keep quiet. When my friend is able to understand the meaning of the word, nonsense, and when he's able to observe my face, my tone, automatically this concentration increases because it affects. So the more, the kind of affectation that it has. So it all depends upon how people are subjected to this kind of an affectation. That's what it means. Next slide, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Next slide. Yeah. Now, next is the factors to make listening more effective. One is proper training. See, youngsters they should be attuned to more training sessions, practices. So, and they should be given training in listening to programs, news columns, clippings, readings, etc. Automatically, they should have this sense of listening prospects. And second is avoid deviation. Remember, when the mind is not prepared to listen to something else, nothing could be done. And moreover, nobody can make a person to be very much introspective unless the person is prepared, unless the mind is tuned to listen to what is being spoken at. It's very difficult to bring in the so-called the fangs of training process. And moreover, listeners they have to maintain a very positive attitude. Unless we have a very good attitude, it's very difficult to listen. And having a kind of negative attitude or having a kind of a perspired personal opinion, these things not make listening better. So it's always fair on the part of the listener to have a good positive attitude towards the speaker as such what he or she is going to speak. That may increase the level of the approach as well as the concentration power. And last one is the importance to content. This should be agreed upon with many of us. Many listeners, when they have a look at the speaker, they always have a poignant smile at the speaker. That is the person as such. But it may be avoided, and we may have to focus on what is actually spoken by the speaker. That is the content form. It may not be ascertained as how the speaker is, but what the speaker tends to identify. So it should be to the content and not to the personality. And of course, when we give importance to personality, our tendency towards listening may get a bit lessened down. So it's content-oriented, attention-oriented, as at the same time, training-oriented. And listening needs these things. Next slide. Yeah. Now let us focus to what's called as reading. And we have been reading so many things, so many years, so many times, but still, what really goes on in the mind of a reader? Though quite a few may give a silent reading, and quite a few may give it a loud reading. Of course, the loud reading takes place in the kindergarten schools and primary schools. And here, when we say aims of how, what are the aims here? Read with correct pronunciation, read with understanding, enable students to use ideas gained from reading in other situations, enable the students to form a habit of reading. So these aspects, may make the person to become a better reader. As of how? Read with understanding. See, we may observe, or we all know that words have a specific meaning and a specific understanding mode. Unless the reader is planned to observe the word spoken or the word read from any particular text, if he or she is not able to understand the particular proper meaning of the word, automatically the reader may lose interest. Number one. Second, once we understand the meaning of the words read, automatically what happens, the reader may have his own ideas from reading such contexts, and these ideas from different contexts may give a sense of perception to the reader. And this sense of perception may enable the readers, I mean students, to form and develop a habit of reading. And this habit of reading may help them to read all the more for better prospects in terms of application, in terms of meaning, I mean vocabulary, and in terms of the application in terms of grammatical patterns. Though we all believe that grammar plays a very dominant role in all these four skills, but I feel personally, my dear friends, grammar plays a very dominant role when it comes to writing. And though we may feel certain aspects of grammatical categories could be focused on the speaking part of it, but its dominance is abundance, its paramount contribution is all the more greater when it comes to written part of it and not the spoken part of it. Next slide, madam. Now, what are the skills involved here in reading? See, generally nowadays it's so sad that so many things have come, and we could find a gradual descendance of the strength of population in reading. And most of us, we are attuned to this internet, mobile phones, this and that. Whereas the concept of reading with the text concern, with the printed form, is slowly coming down. At the same time, what is involved here? One is ability of visual discrimination. Second one is mental link. When it comes to reading, what happens is the reader should be able to discriminate with the words and sentence patterns. Whether they do have simplified meaning, or whether they can intensified meaning, or whether the words seem to confuse the reader. This kind of discrimination will develop. Same time, ability of the mind on the part of the reader to link these sentence structures into a complete structure. Because only if we have a complete structure, we can give a final shape to what we have read actually. So the mental link, it leads to understanding the theme, understanding the content of the content part of it. Because understanding comes, that's called as comprehending, automatically we will be able to go for interpretation. Though at times interpretation may bring in, on rare occasions, disastrous consequences. So the ability on the part of the reader to go for interpretation, and this interpretation could come to the readers because of their modality of understanding levels. And finally, and this interpretation may pay weight to the tone of asking questions. Remember, any question carries two responses. One is a positive response, other one is a negative response. So it all depends upon. We come across a reading comprehension. A learner would be given a small passage, and at the bottom they may have some questions. Read the following passage and answer the questions given below. Sometimes when I practice this with my students, what I do is, I give the passage and I ask my students to prepare the questions. Whether it's the interpretive questions, whether it's informative questions, or whether the questions they aim at interpolation or giving suggestions, I leave it to them. I just tell them, read the passage twice or thrice if possible, and you have to go for questions. Remember, answering questions becomes a tone of easy tone, but preparing questions for a particular passage seems all the more difficult, because whether you have to go for the tense pattern, whether the past tense or present tense, or voice, active as a passive voice, or where to go for a mixing of the clauses, the verbal, the adjective class and the adverbial class. This kind of a shifting process, you have to take extraordinary care to have our own interrogative patterns of sentences. Next slide, madam. Here we have types of reading. There are so many levels when we could find the various modes. One is loud reading, which is done in schools, because only young people are made to read loud because they focus their attention. And to a certain extent, they retain their memory what they read. And to a certain extent, they know what they read. In fact, loud reading becomes better as people grow up. As we catch up years, this loud reading becomes a passive and tentative silent reading. And in silent reading, where adults are able to focus on their mind with the actual content, and that too depends upon what kind of text do they come across. Sometimes it may be objective, sometimes descriptive, sometimes subjective or objective. It all depends upon the mode of the levels of understanding, interest, as a how do they look upon the particular text as a source of text alone. Not to focus on the author. Remember, if you have a chance to read a book by Derrida, you need not bother about Derrida. You just focus on what he actually has said. What I said about the construction. And if you take a play by William Shakespeare named Tempest, it is not fair on our part to focus on the author, but the content as such. What kind of play is that? Is it a comedy or a tragedy? And what Shakespeare has tried his level best to focus on in his play, this kind of a temptation should make the reader to go in for a poised exuberance of knowledge. And third one is intense. Intense is all the more important. You read, you give an intensive reading out of one's curiosity and out of one's necessity, and every line will give a reflection. Every line will give a reflection. Every mode of thought would give a reflection. And that is done only by the intensive process of reading, and certainly not the other one named as extensive reading. That is done very casually. When you give a reading the newspapers, because most of us, we don't study newspapers, we read newspapers. Though my friends know very well that reading is different, studying is different. We don't study newspapers, we don't study magazines, we read newspapers, we read magazines, and that is termed as extensive reading. And whereas you have a step through, like so-called the skimming and scanning. Certain things we do skim and certain things we do scan. When you scan out, there also we have a problem. Now, the mind is not poised to place all the things that we get recorded. So, extensive reading is something very, very, it's a primary zone. Whereas intensive is all the more important. For example, you have a book about Africa or a book on Africa. A book on Africa becomes intensive reading, whereas a book about Africa becomes an extensive reading. Like that. Madam, you can move to the next slide, madam. Yeah. Now we can go for the other one is types of comprehensive questions. And I do not know how many among us are really prepared to ask questions and to seek explanations. Many of us are trained in such a way to respond to questions concerned, but many of us, I feel personally, are not trained to go for repetitive analysis of questions concerned. And even in questions, you have these categories named informative, interpretative, factual, inferential. When we say information, from the passage, direct questions. Whether you frame questions or respond to the questions framed. Second one, interpretative. When questions are asked, you have to comprehend, go for a process of analysis, and to go for assimilation of what really strikes your mind from the content part of it. Factual is present the facts. Let us, we don't go for extraordinary statements. What is given there, we have to. And the last one is inferential. And from the given passage, what kind of a mode of understanding do we exhibit? In what way the passage would serve as a kind of an eye-opener? And when it serves as an eye-opener, and how are we going to deal with a particular topic? For example, we say tobacco or smoking is injurious to health. We have a small paragraph. When read that, and when someone is poised to make inferential questions, that what are the tasks that the reader would have evolved, and how this particular tobacco smoking would be injurious to man's health at all spheres. And when it causes injury, and what will be its other source of attacking process, that we make it as an inferential. And from these, how the person who smokes may be protected and saved. Next one. Next slide. Yeah. Now we have the other one termed as composition. And I have highlighted some 3 or 4 patterns of named as composition. And when we see composition, when we compose, and when we compose, this particular thought called composer adds many factors. Already learned experience, a person's personal aptitude, exposition to particular topics. All these things may make the person to have a proper selection of the topic concerned. Because when the learner or the reader is not mentally tuned to have a gradation of collective sources, the selection for a proper source becomes inevitable. You have to. So what happens actually, when you say proper selection, the reader should be experienced with the previous sources of knowledge. Of course, it differs from person to person. Quite a few may like mathematics, quite a few may like science, and quite a few may like arts. So the selection should be very much proper when it comes to the tuning of the attitude of a person's mind. Then we go for gradation. Gradation is a primary, secondary, and the tertiary level. Well, sometimes we go for primary composition when we write about a paragraph about a buffalo or a cow. Or even you can write a paragraph on the topic Festival of Lights. So that may become primary, but the same person, after a few years, when he makes it for a different topic, for example, should students enter politics? Are we in need of beauty contest? That becomes again a source of secondary knowledge. And from there, when people go for higher education, especially even research, and there they go for one assimilation of a topic as a source of a thesis study, which becomes a tertiary level. But from primary to secondary, from secondary to tertiary, you can find the differences in gradation. A schoolboy writing about Festival of Lights, he may have certain features. And a person in higher education, doing undergraduation or post-graduation, when he writes on Festival of Lights, it may have some differences where the language could be tuned, tense could be changed, and the assortment of facts could be tuned. That may change. When the same person, when he takes up research topic, after his master's degree from a university, when this particular topic is taken up and he identifies the salient features of its importance. So it's a primary, secondary, and the tertiary approaches which makes the writer or the learner to compose well. And for this, my dear friends, we need practice and learning prospective methods. And we say utility. What do we mean by that? See, all cannot write well, and all need not write well. I came across a particular book named when I did my undergraduation. The Art of Learning Martial Arts. The Art of Learning Martial Arts. For information, my dear friends, sorry for my personal autobiography. From 1979 to 1985, I was in martial arts, Shitteryu. I joined in 1979, and 1985, I got my black belt. Though I'm not a karate expert. So, in that case, I bought a book named How to Learn Martial Arts. Remember, this utility was not there. For nearly 37 pages, my dear friends, I read and read and read. I was not able to have even a single fact. Because I told you, the proper solution. The author who wrote on learning martial arts was not properly tuned to this martial arts. It is just like a person was not even played a single cricket match, becoming a commentator. So selection and its utility both are diversified at various levels. My dear friends, I tell you, the 37 pages I read, I was not able to understand what martial arts is. Then, once after composition, we have this oral practice. See, most of us, when this oral practice is tuned much to the speaking skills. This question lies in many of our learners and why even our own teachers. Sometimes we do. Any question is raised. What do? We go for responses. And how do we make responses? Single word responses. No one is prepared to answer in the form of a sentence. And that is the problem why many of our learners are not better speakers. Do you have a class now? Yes, sir. Are you going to the laboratory? Yes, ma'am. Do you have economics third hour? Yes, ma'am. Do you leave the campus by 3 o'clock? Yes, ma'am. For all questions, you say yes or no and no. If that's the case, there's a chance for the person to speak better. I don't think so. One of the simplest tasks was put forth by the British teacher named John F. Tatham, a British scholar. John F. Tatham, he makes this kind of an observation. Learners should be trained to speak in the sentences in complete formation, not in words. That's where I brought in this particular oral practice. Read aloud, identify the meaning. My dear friends, I tell you, if we are not able to understand the meaning of a particular word, the word cannot be retained in our memory. Take it from me. It cannot retain. Suppose you scold someone. Moment of anger, you scold someone. Get out of here. When the person understands the meaning of get out of here, he'll be shocked. The face may change. When the person is not able to understand, even when you smile and say, get out of here, I hate you. Sometimes people say, I hate you, I hate you. If you're not able to understand the word called hate, automatically you will start liking the person. So what happens is proper identification of the concerned meaning, which may make the learner to become a better speaker. Last is sequence. What do we mean sequence? We don't go for interpolation words as such. For example, are you here? May I know you? Instead of asking, may I know you? People ask, who are you? Even when the phone rings, who are you? They don't say, may I know speaker? May I know you? May I know who is the caller? They don't. At many occasions. So the sequence of sentences are changed because of lack of practice as well as lack of proper selection. That's why proper selection always comes with the first one, followed by gradation, and last we have this proper arrangement as sequence of sentences. Only when sentences are sequentially arranged, they will bring the desired meanings. If not, they may confuse the reader as well as they confuse the listener. Next slide. Next slide, ma'am. Now, when you come to speaking skills, there's always lies a question with the listeners. "15 years of learning a subject called English. Many of our speakers and employees, housewives, businessmen, all people, they have some kind of a problem or the other with speaking skills. Because, you know why? Reason is very simple. Reason is very simple. That is, we always tune ourselves with our own native tongue, mother tongue. We think in our mother tongue, we respond in our mother tongue, and when it comes to English, we go for translation or sometimes transliteration. That's a problem. And second major problem is many of our people are not inclined to speak in English language because they are constantly harbored by one invisible element called image. I've come across so many learners of mine, young learners. They're very, very conscious about their own image, about their own self. If I say something wrong, what others will think about me? If I slip by word, what others may think about me? What will happen to my reputation? In fact, without identifying the reputation, we are much bothered about reputation. And here, when I say speaking skills, why if our learners are not able to do well? Reasons are many. And the methodology towards speaking of English structures are also many. Now, I have brought certain some 3 or 4 slides here for your reference, which comes under the component called social functions. And here, look at this. First one, when you want to offer help to someone else, when you want to help else, when you want to ask someone else what they prefer, there's a way to be. Would you like to? Okay. It has come. So what happens is now, social functions. For example, we generally we don't use sentence patterns like this. I would like you to make a visit to my home. I would like to invite you to my home. And what about coming with me for a movie? What about having a cup of coffee with me? We don't practice these things. That's why I brought these things under the banner called social functions. Requesting someone, inviting someone, accepting invitation, declining invitation, congratulating someone. I brought certain things here. Next slide, madam. Next slide. Fine, here. Next one is offering help. When you help someone else. How? May I help you? If there's anything I can do for you, please do let me know. If you like, I could help you. Would you like me to help you? Is there anything I can? These days, people should develop the practice of speaking in English. Madam? Anandi ma'am? Yeah. Madam, next slide, madam. Kindly move on to the next slide. Okay, fine. when it comes to when you want to help someone, offering some help, you can say, "May I help you? Is there anything I can do for you? Would you like me? Would you like me to help you? Or is there anything I can do for you?" You can ask these ways. And on many occasions, people have not been trained to talk like this. I feel personally, and that's why I identify these things as social functions. And even when you seek permission, how do we seek permission? Do you mind if I sit here? Would you like to provide me your calculator? Could you please offer your mobile phone for a minute? Or would it be possible for you to drop me at the bus stand? If you don't mind, I'd like to travel with you. Have you any objection to my being here? These ways, I don't think many of our people go for this kind of a practice. And when it comes to asking for advice, I have included certain patterns here. Do you think I should go abroad? What would you advise me to do? What would your advice be? What would you do if you are in my position? Could you help me to solve this problem? Could you help me with your ideas? This is how we have to practice when you want to congratulate someone. What do you normally what do? We say, congratulations. My heart don't say anything apart from that. And no one says, may heaven's choicest blessings be showered upon you. And no one says, I wish you many more happy long years and longevity. And no one says, let your life, let your matrimony be a source of heavenly bliss. We don't go for this kind of strategy. When it comes to congratulating, congratulations. Sometimes congratulations. When somebody is hospitalized, what do we do? When somebody is hospitalized, someone is not feeling well, how do we react? Sorry, very sorry. No one says, don't worry. I hope you will convalesce well. I feel that you are convalescing well. I hope I will come back to normalcy. See, when we say social functions, we have a lot of components which we have to practice well. Inviting someone, accepting invitations, or even when you apologize someone. When we say apology, what do? I'm very sorry. Please, I'm very sorry. My dear friend, very sorry. No one says kindly apologize for the error concern. Or no one says kindly bear the inconvenience caused by me. And many of us, we don't say, please bear with me. And you can also say this, if you feel this may not hurt you, kindly accept my apologies. You can go for different methods. And how this will come to person? Only when we practice. Only when we speak, these things will come. Only when we practice, we can have these things. Without practice, it may become very difficult source. And we have this congratulating one, complimenting one, expressing one's happiness. Next, I shall move on to writing. When we say writing, this happens to be the most important complex source. My dear friends, in my experience, I have come across a lot of grammatical components. Even a simple compound complex, I did very well. Adverbial classes, noun classes, fine. Active voice, passive voice, okay. But when it comes to the utility of grammar in written part of it, written English, these things will always be a source of slippery flow, junctions and prepositions. Especially infinitives. When it comes to writing, it is nothing to be done. It is like mathematics. The formulae of mathematics. We have to follow these things, no other go. And in people, quite a few may Actively, we need to know grammar. Not at all. Not at all. No, no, no. When it comes to the application of grammar in speaking skills, to a certain extent, fine. To a certain extent, we can use grammar for functional English. I mean, social functions. But when it comes to written part of it, written English, no other go. The English grammar remains a Hobson's choice. What we say in Tamil, there's a particular proverb in Tamil, Sendamil Napalakam. They say when you want to paint something on the wall, you have to practice. Like that we say, Sendamil Napalakam. See, when you speak well, when you practice well, automatically you can speak very well. And here in writing, we have so many components available. You have notes, note making, note taking, paragraph writing, report writing, project writing. So many things are there. And the best art to practice writing is to write. I have a doubt here too. I have something to share with my friends here when it comes to writing. For our learners, repeat the same mistake. What is that? When you write letters, I kindly request you to grant me leave. GRAND. I kindly request you. Are you kind enough to obtain leave from the teacher concerned? I request you to kindly. I request you to kindly. And when you write letters as such, we have so many things. Dear, I think I find one name here, Aparna, or Arul Mukhil. Dear Arul Mukhil, I am well. I hope you are also well. Or I am well. I hope you are all well. So many things creep up here. Remember, see, at times when we speak, we may slip. At times when we speak, we may slip. No other go. Fine. But when it comes to writing, we have to take so many precautions. We have to take so many precautions because once the matter is written or printed, it does not belong to you. Even the times when you slip, remember, we could afford to slip by foot and not by tongue. Afford to slip by foot and not by tongue. Remember, once words are spoken, they are recorded. And once words are recorded, they retain in memory. And when words are retained in memory, they are absorbed completely and the listener would always remember you. On many occasions, we don't forget people. On so many occasions, we don't forgive them. So the concept of forget and forgive depends upon the modality of observation as well as the application of proper word. When you say writing, the simplest form is paragraph. It can narrative writing, argumentative writing, and so on. What happens in the paragraph when it becomes a source of essay? And so sad, even now I come across people writing sentences in different formation. What he thinks he writes. That's the problem. Even I think I have to go back to Harold Palmer when he describes foreign learners of English, they go for transliteration. No, they go. We have to practice. Even this emancipational praxis on the part of reader. For example, if my friends have the time to listen to the speeches of the former Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu, I had the chance once to listen to the former Tamil Nadu Chief Speaker, Dr. C.N. Anadure. Oh, extraordinary. It's an immaculate utility of words as weapons. Every word has become a gem. How reading, retaining, application, and evolving oneself. So whatever, when it comes to writing, application of grammar is very important. And in my case, I've come across so many hurdles when I dealt with prepositions. I hereby report to duty on the forenoon, in the forenoon. What to do? I hereby report to duty on the forenoon on 7th August, of 7th August, at 7th August. What to do? Yours faithfully, yours obediently, yours sincerely, yours affectionately, informal letters. At times we govern, even in public speaking. I have a doubt to ask my friends. Better you later you send your response in the it's called chatting, web chat, internet chatting, the chat box. Many speakers, when they speak, they say, I stand before you to welcome the chief guest. What do you mean by that? I stand before you. You have to stand before. You can't stand at the back. And when it comes to word of thanks, people say, last but not the least. What do you mean by last? And what do you mean by least? I don't understand. If you can make me understand, you can explain. Last but not the least. And many people say, among this busy time schedule, all word jargons, they're fit to speak and not to write. So again, when it comes to writing, my friends, we find paragraph, estimating, note making, note taking, busy writing. Oh, I've come across many of my doing busy. They read the whole content, divide it into 3, and 247 by 3. Remaining number, look at the busy writing. Is that the mode? Not at all. The purpose of busy is just the ability on the part of the reader for a comprehensive view. That's all. From the particular summary, what you have understood. Not to reproduce the same, as quite a few people do for reading comprehension. Read the following passage and answer the questions given below. 5 questions. For all the 5 questions, you'll mark at 5 different corners. Is that needed one? No, not at all. Comprehension or comprehending is understanding, analysis, and go for perspective views. And here also, when you go for writing, when you write a note making or note taking essay, when you take a paragraph, you have the topic sentence. When you take an essay, you have the thesis statement. And especially in many cases, the first paragraph becomes the introduction and the last paragraph becomes conclusion for many of us, including me. Am I right? That's what people do. When you take an essay, the first part becomes the introduction, last part becomes conclusion. How? I don't think so. In the first paragraph called introduction, the writer has to clearly state what he is prepared to do. What he has prepared to do with the topic concerned. And the last paragraph, what he has to do, how has he identified the topic concerned? And what are all his recommendations, suggestions, reflections? That's the way the last paragraph should conclude. Are we following those particular things? In many cases, I don't think it's so. And certain things have to be changed. Remember, for better writing strategy, you have to start writing to practice. Practice. And you go for the interpretation of these skills, listening, speaking, reading, and writing. My dear friends, I have a personal request to all my viewers and listeners here. Please have a dictionary whenever it's possible, wherever it's possible, though it is not possible. Wherever you go, it's not possible for you to have a dictionary. But whenever you come across any newspaper, any journal, any book, please do have a dictionary. Whenever you come across any particular word, refer the meaning in the dictionary and go for examples. Remember, Only when you go for the examples, you can retain that in your memory. For example, I came across quite a few students. Many, Madam Kausalya Madam is there. The presenter. But what happens is, suppose I tell Kausalya, Madam Kausalya, I don't think it's possible. Let the man kick the bucket. I speak to Madam Kausalya, Madam, it's not possible. Let him kick the bucket. And if I think any normal person, any reader would understand the meaning behind kick the bucket. If a person who is not able to may not know the impact of the word concerned, identifying the meaning. Remember, my dear friends, please try to understand, we are all foreign learners of English and foreign speakers of English. I remember, I have to quote one small incident here. Max Miller, the great German scholar who had mastered Sanskrit, an extraordinary man Sanskrit, who could write well, who could speak well, who could do extremely well in Sanskrit. And he went to Varanasi once, where he came across a particular local priest speaking in Sanskrit, a cash speech. That he was not able to do, it was not a position to get spoken by the local man. Now, what I mean is, however scholar a person may be, it's all depends upon the native tongue, the impact of the native tongue, which always keeps vibrant. It dominates. And so, I told you, many of us, we don't speak effectively because of this. I tell you, I give small examples to you, my dear friends. See, for any source of information, we can have books from the library. Books, journals, emails, messages, so many things on so many topics. Let me tell you. Now, if I ask any one of you who's listening to me, you make a narrative experience of how do you prepare a cup of tea. Right from the time you have the milk sachet until the time you filter the tea decoction. It's not decoction, it is decoction. Till the time you have a narrative mode of experience. You make it narration. Or suppose I ask Jayashree here, who appears on the screen, Jayashree, Prem Kumar, things like that, I do not know. If I ask Madam, sorry, you narrate your experience of how you wash your garments in the washing machine. Right from the time you put the garments into the washing machine till the time you hang them on the cloth line with the cloth pegs under the sun, dry sun. Or you get into any marriage hall, you are attending a marriage. People say marriage function. Marriage itself is a function. So kindly don't say marriage function. Marriage itself is a function. You enter a hall to attend a marriage and somebody asks you, what is going on here? You have to explain. The bride and the bridegroom, they will come there, they sit there after a ceremony. What ceremony? Where the bridegroom will have his investiture. What is called Tamil as a Tali Kettadal. The bridegroom will have investiture. And they go around clockwise, anti-clockwise. And they both dip their arms into the pot containing milk or water, and they will take a small component. You have to narrate all these things in English. Or imagine you are on a pilgrimage. The Allahabad, the Varanasi, Tirupati, somewhere. And you share your experience only in English. Only in English, not anywhere. What I mean is, though my mother tongue is Tamil, let me say a few terms in Tamil. My friends, my other friends, those who do not know Tamil, kindly forgive me. My friends, those who do not know Tamil, kindly forgive me. There are some terms in Tamil. Dosakallu, Purikattai, Tirnuru, Sambrani. These terms identify the English words. And remember, Englishmen, they are very clever fellows. English administrators, they're very clever fellows. You know why? They have brought in certain, wherever they go, they absorb those words into the English fold. There's one particular word in Tamil called rasam. I think my friends may know. There's a word called rasam. And the English word for rasam, what? What is the English word? You refer the dictionary, you can find the word called mulligatawny. You can find the word called mulligatawny. Chapati, puri, mulligatawny, dhoti. Englishmen, they've absorbed these words into the English fold. They're very clever fellows. You know why? That's why their language progresses. And this is typical, another form of colonial expansion. Britishmen expanded not only because of colonial expansion, my dear friends, it also they expanded because of their language as such, because they're able to absorb the words. You go to Kerala, there's a place called Kozhikode, and they added K-O-Z-H-I-K-O-D-E, Kozhikode. Katamaram in Tamil, they made catamaran. Tamil, we say Tamil in Hindi, other terms is the puri. They say P-O-O-R-A, puri. They're very clever fellows. Very clever fellows, because they were able to absorb so many terms. And then there are so many terms which we make it up. We make it up. For example, there's one particular term of another. People say first mate in English. Is there any term like that? I'm asking you. Please don't use that. Does it mean that the very first time people sleep on that night? Not at all. It's a kind of different term by people. Please don't use that. Fine. Let me come to these the other components. We have when you write, always have precautions, notes, presenting, essays, or even paper presentation. Remember, I have a very small suggestion for my young friends here, those who are here on screen. Whenever you go and present a paper, please try to understand, don't read the paper. Speak the paper. Don't read the paper, you speak the paper. When I say speak, don't look at the paper and read the contents. Speak as if you're a fluent man. That means you should have done a lot of revisions. Only when you do a lot of revisions, you're in a position to identify what all steps are identified there already, and you can do better. So again, when it comes to writing, I have made certain terms as descriptive paragraphs, expository, narrative paragraphs. Fine. Because there's a power cut in my home. That's why I couldn't contact immediately. So when you go for this paragraph, because in writing, this one happens to be the most important aspect of writing strategies. One is when you say paragraphs, because the descriptive paragraphs, expository, narrative, when you describe something or someone in either in the tense present tense or the form past tense, what it may be, it is maybe termed as a descriptive one. But when you make it as expositive way, what happens is you try to bring out the inferential content in it. The topic is given to you. For example, smoking is injurious to health. When you write a small paragraph on that, you have to bring in what all the drawbacks which it has, which it exposes the hindrance behind smoking, and it exposes the negative capabilities of how this could be avoided. When you take a narrative paragraph, what happens there? It goes on a lively different process. Where you can have the characters, you can have the performances, and that becomes a source of narration, like a running commentary. For example, a proceeding is going on, a cricket match is going on, and you provide a commentary which becomes a narrative source. That bit is a narrative paragraph. And again, when it comes to argumentation, there's another paragraph called as argumentative paragraph, where you take up a cause, you identify whether it's right or wrong, and you take a particular stand. Though you could afford to take only one particular stand, remember, you cannot choose this or that. I mean, this and that. Choose this or that. Take one particular stand, and you stick on to the particular stand, which means argumentative paragraph. Though on rare occasions, what we decide, what we take up as a personal resolution may contain some error. No problem at all. We can change it. So again, when it comes to the writing part of it, apart from that, nowadays you have a lot of technical tools available. You have a lot of tools available. Internet, then Zoom class or Google Meet, all these things. All these modes may help you better. It's termed as an ICT. You have the digital camera where you could record the person's actions, the person's speech. Remember, now we have this kind of mode. If I am not visible to you, if you can't see me, automatically it's quite common that you may lose interest because my non-verbal skill is absent. Though my verbal skill is there, you may not be able to execute my non-verbal skill. For effective communication, you need both verbal and non-verbal. And it's so unfortunate that because of the power disruption, and you cannot view me on the screen, which becomes where you cannot observe my non-verbal capability. And this advantage when you have a digital camera, you can record the speeches. And scanner, again, it will act as a silver screen, as in a theater. It can provide you a better impetus towards the placing of content matter, whether it's reading or listening. And you have the best internet. And this internet, it will provide you a very good source of knowledge, a very good source of information, provided the learner is prepared for such learning process. Remember, my dear friends, I just tell you one thing. This world, everything is available. In this world, everything is available. But to get anything, you have to struggle. Anything. Even to have a cup of tea or coffee, you have to wait, pay the money, get the token, hand over the token, then you have to get your cup of tea. And many occasions people say, this is my cup of tea, that is his cup of tea, whoever's cup of tea it may be. Even to get a cup of tea, you have to wait. You have to strive. Nothing is easy in this world. To get anything, you have to struggle hard. Remember, when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. When the going gets tough, the tough gets going. For all, I think you have to prepare for better challenges tomorrow in the years to come. So the internet, portfolio methods, and email. Oh, you have a lot of. Now recently, I have my scholars, my friends, they helped me a lot with this email process. From them, I have learned many things, though I forget many. It has to be practiced constantly. From email, initially I found myself in constant struggle with the typing process. But now, fortunately, the ableist guidance of my friends and scholars, I am able to do a little better. Whereas youngsters, you could do more, all the more. And digital portfolio information, from that you can have a lot of sources available. And English classrooms, now we have so many people presenting this PowerPoint presentations, web cameras, and that. All these things will help you. But no instrument can replace a teacher. One machine can do the work of 100 ordinary men. But no machine can do the work of one extraordinary man. Do you think any machine can work like Shakespeare, can bring a Shakespeare? Do you think any machine work like Edison? Not at all. I don't think so. So all these machines, tools, all these ICT tools will go for the manipulation or manifolding appliances. They are manifolding appliances for the betterment of your structure, language structure, but you have to improve yourself. Read, listen, practice, speak, and write properly. Don't write I kindly request you to grant me leave. I request you to kindly grant me leave. Okay? And go for a better presentation. Right? So, whatever may be the appliances, whatever may be the tools, remember, they're all only machines. Even the robot, it can function only when given key. Internet, computers, they will function only when they are on. Whereas, compared to man's, the etymological root called brain, thoughts-filled, emotions-filled mind, compared to man's mind, I don't think these are all very, very competent. I don't think so, because it's a man who feeds everything in it. It is a man who does everything. So, you can have these tools, no problem at all, your email, internet, but to speak, you have to practice. You have to speak. If you want to write well, you have to write well. A master of reading capability, a master of reader, or a man of literary values, you have to read. So, I think let me end my session with a very, very happy, manifolded thanks to all my listeners in spite of this pandemic period and in spite of this frequent disruption of power supply. And in spite of so many inexplicable duties, official and personal, for the home front and the office front, college front, my friends had a lot of time. They were able to devote much time to listen to a very poor man. I'm an average fellow. I'm not a very bright man. I'm an average fellow. I've learned many things by hard work. I think I'm a pebble. I never compare myself to a diamond. I've always compared myself to a pebble, because pebble shines when constantly shown in water. Other things, they don't shine. A pebble shines well when it is constantly given what source of water. So the constant source of water signifies a constant source of learning. The desire, the crave to learn more and more. Because as teachers of English, I feel personally, I'm here to serve, I grow. To serve, I grow. And I grow to serve. That's my personal philosophy. To grow, I serve. And I serve to grow well. Let my knowledge will make my prosperity. So, thank you all my listeners. Thank you all my friends. I thank my teachers, my beloved friends, for a very, very patient listening. Thank you very much.
So thank you very much, sir. It was a wonderful session. After a long time, we could, listen to you actually, sir. Participants, if you have any questions, you can. Yes, thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute and directly ask, sir. Or you can even put it on the chat box. I can read it. Students, you'll definitely have some questions. Thank you all. I think sir is also reading the chat box. Thanks for all the messages there, sir. Everybody is like thanking you.
Yes, I'm very happy, madam. I'm extremely thankful
Yes.
to Dr. Anandi, madam, Ramakrishna College,
Thank
and
you,
all
sir.
my friends for a patient listening to me.
Thank you, sir.
I'm
Thank you
extremely
very
happy
much,
to
sir.
share my little and limited knowledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Sir,
Very kind
our
of you.
students, yes, sir. Our students are here. I think they would like to ask a few questions. Saida, can you just unmute and post your questions, Saida? Sir, I have a, before she unmutes, sir, she had a question and I don't know why
ma'am.
she's not able to connect. I have a personal question, sir. So this is for the
Ma'am,
faculty,
please.
on behalf of the faculty members here. So what methodology,
madam.
we usually have a mixed bunch of students in the classroom, coming
Yes,
from
madam.
different schools, different backgrounds. How can
Yes,
one
madam.
treatment of teaching a language, like one methodology, be applicable to all the students, sir? Is it possible to have one defined methodology
No.
to handle? Yes,
No,
sir. That
madam,
is
it's very
my
difficult,
question.
madam.
Yes, sir.
It's very difficult, madam. For example, imagine we have a class of 60 students, and as you said, it's a cluster of different sections put together, 60 people. Now, we have a passage for reading comprehension. Now, once the passage is administered, the teacher is supposed to provide questions. And I told you in one of my slides, I gave informative questions, interpretative questions, interpolative, exponential, these questions. And here only we could find the ability and agility on the part of the listeners and the readers. Quite a few students who are very mediocre, they may respond for informative questions. And quite a few students, they are really creative. They go for interpolative questions. And quite a few students who are really exemplary, they may go for the global questions. They may answer global questions. This is with kind of a reading comprehension. Now, when it comes to speaking skills, an average boy may talk on a small subject. For example, Christmas, New Year, or New Year's Eve, or Pongal, the Farmer's Day, and he may talk for 2 to 3 minutes as such. The same topic could be administered to a person who could be better with his Anglophonics knowledge or better knowledge of English background. He may give put in some additional details. Fine. If not, provide the person a different topic. For example, about how to manage this particular pandemic zone. Or you can ask question, what could be done with this present pollution? The 4 different kinds of pollution: air pollution, water pollution, etc. And how to manage this. So the question may be one, the topic may be one, but it all depends upon the availability of resources already there, destined in the experience, knowledge of the person, and that alone may make the difference. At the same time, madam, it's very difficult to satisfy everybody. To a certain extent, we could compromise with the basic manners. And to a certain extent, the adult and the advanced learners may compromise with them because it's a typical classroom. And we may not have the liability to go for a paradigm shift. So the topic may be the same, the content may be the same, but when it comes to the introspective details of the students, it may vary a bit. That's what I feel, madam.
Yes, sir, definitely. Even my opinions too, sir. Actually, we have,
Thank you,
yes, sir, we face this a lot in the classroom, especially in the English
Exactly.
language classroom. So sometimes we
Exactly.
will wonder, like, whether what I'm just speaking here is all the 60 students are able to follow. Is my, whatever I'm explaining, is it fine? Is it reaching the 60th student? I will always have that doubt. And we tend to sometimes we tend to use a bilingual explanation also when we just see that the students are little perplexed. When I just see a perplexed look on the face of the student, I want to shift that to a bilingual explanation there.
Mode. Yeah.
Yes, sir. And
Exactly.
yes, so that is actually my opinions, and whatever you said is really, I think we are sharing the same opinions, sir.
Yeah, it's right. Exactly, madam. Exactly.
Yes, yes, sir.
Fine, madam.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I think my faculty
Thank you,
also
thank you,
wanted.
thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir. They also have some questions. I think. Yes, Ma. Over to you, please. If you have any questions, you can ask, sir, with regard to this session.
Professors?
Yes, sir. Good evening,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Good evening.
Sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good evening, Professor.
Good afternoon, sir. Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Dr. Anandi.
Good evening, sir.
To add to what you've already, both of you have said, in the heterogeneous group, could we divide the students with one or two into five? Supposing there are five, there are two people who are a little above average than the rest of the students in English, so that if we pool them, I think that could work out a little bit more in helping us to make them understand the lessons.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Better, sir. Fine, sir. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
especially for comprehension or grammar exercises that could work out.
Yes, sir.
And
Yes, sir. True, sir. True.
and for speaking also, where they could pull in some resources from these persons. Probably they may not be grammatically correct, but then some ideas they could come up with. This is one of my humble suggestions, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you, sir. Very kind of you.
Thank you,
sir.
Dr. Anandi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions, audience? Please, any other questions? If you have, you can please unmute and ask, sir. Any questions? Sir, I see a lot of messages thanking you, sir. And I think
Okay, fine. Thank you. Very kind of
yes,
you.
sir. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Fine,
sir.
thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now yes, sir. I now hand over the session to Professor Shakti for her notes of gratitude. Yes, over to you, Shakti.
Okay.
Good evening to one and all present here. So we have come to the close of today's session. It is an honor for me on behalf of Department of English, srcw, to have the opportunity to propose a vote of thanks on this special day. We extend a hearty vote of thanks to all participants of this day webinar for making this seminar exemplary. Thank you all. We extend our sincere thanks to Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. P. Ilamaran, Head Department of English, PIG College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore. His in spite of his busy schedule, who have come to grace the event. Thank you, sir. Thank you for inspiring and encouraging us with your exemplary presentation on this special day. Thank you, sir. Thank you once again. I extend my special thanks to our beloved principal ma'am, and our department faculty members for their support and guidance. Thank you all. I extend my gratitude to Dr. Anandi Ma'am, Head Department of English, for giving us a wonderful opportunity for being a part of this webinar series. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Very nice of you.
Thank you, Shakti. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. That's
Participants,
fine.
this is,
Thank you.
thank you, sir. Participants, please note
Thank you.
tomorrow we will start at 10 o'clock and the session tomorrow and day after will begin by 10 and end by 11:30. So tomorrow we have Dr. Amita Vikram Dwivedi, Head Department of Linguistics from Vaishno Devi University, Jammu and Kashmir with us tomorrow. So the session will begin by 10 tomorrow and day after also the same time. So tomorrow and day after the session will be from 10 to 11:30. Kindly note. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you. Have a nice evening. Thank you.
Stay tuned for tomorrow's session on 10 a.m. Feedback will be posted in WhatsApp. Thank you. Dear participants, thank you.